Hello and welcome to the Everyday Project. If you're new here, my name is Mel Bowmans and I am the host slash the creative person behind this project. Do you know what I said to myself today? I was like, am I going to record this episode or not? Because I was sitting here at 7:30 and it's nice to sit and chat at night for a change. I feel like this is like one of those episodes where I want to think more deeply, but I'm also really tired today and I am just testing things out. Like I'm just seeing, is this the approach I want to go for? Can I talk when I'm like this? I don't know. You don't know things until you try. And part of this topic that I'm going to be talking about is a process and trying and experimenting with things. So that is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm practicing my own process that I am preaching, which is I'm practicing the creative life once again. I have actually been on such an exciting burst of energy with creativity. I have had so much creative energy lately and I'm feeling really good about that. And I think I'm excited. And that's partly why I'm tired, because I've been waking up so early lately because I just want to come and create things in the day. Like I don't know where this flow state has come from, but I have entered a bit of this flow state, and any creative knows that's a very exciting thing to enter. So I've just been feeling like I'm running on a little bit of a motor at the moment. It's good and bad in different ways, but we're taking it with good things at the moment, and hence why I'm sitting here tonight at 8:39 on a Monday evening recording this episode, because I felt passionate and excited and I wouldn't say I'm energized right now, but I felt excited to talk about something that has been going around in my mind the past week, mostly the past week, but I felt like I really want to try being a bit impulsive with this podcast. I think sometimes there are topics that come up and I leave them too long and then they just miss the boat. Sometimes there's things that I've been thinking about in the week and, I feel excited. I'm talking to my friends about it. I'm talking to other people about it. I'm like, I really want to try and channel that energy and see how that goes doing it live more in the moment. But also I want to be able to have quality in these podcasts and find the balance with that. So this is all a work in progress, guys, and I would really value any of your feedback. So if you do have anything to say about the show or any of the topics that I've done, or you would like me to speak on something specifically, I would absolutely love to hear from you. So feel free to send me a DM on the everyday.project on Instagram, or leave a message on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you're watching this. I would love to hear from you. Today my topic is about the thrill of not being for everyone. More specifically, I'm talking about the creative pathway, the pathway of being a creative, and what that process involves and why it's a really difficult pathway to choose. I've had a lot of revelations in my own life. The past 1 to 2 years, I have been job hunting and in and out of different jobs. So I'm going to be talking about job hunting and that process, what that's been like for me, how that's made me feel. I'm going to talk about this judgment that I feel from doing what I guess is different, the judgment I feel of being a creative person. And when I talk about that, I mean like not doing the 9 to 5, not working a corporate job. That is a very, and I actually made a video on this not long ago on my socials. I'm just bouncing off that basically. I'm bouncing off that whole topic, just talking about not doing the 9 to 5. So if you are a person who doesn't work a 9 to 5 job and you're not interested in corporate jobs, then you're probably going to find this podcast useful, or hopefully you're going to find it validating or liberating, because part of also what I would like to talk about today is how you lean into feeling good about this process, because there's a lot of doubt, shame, judgment, and like a lot of ups and downs that come with the process of being a creative and choosing this pathway. I want to talk about how we can liberate that process for ourselves and just kind of accepting that who you are as a person. If you don't work a 9 to 5 job, I think this one is definitely for you. All right, so job hunting. Let's talk about job hunting. Oh my God. For the past 1 to 2 years, I have been looking for different jobs. I've been I've worked in restaurants, cafes, I've done trial shifts, I've worked 3 to 4 months in a corporate role. Also, I've done a lot of applying. I couldn't even tell you how many jobs that I've actually applied for. Obviously, I've been working in between all of this at casual jobs, and I've always had a job. Yeah, I think there was maybe a period of like 2 months where I didn't actually have a job and wasn't making any money. So that was a little bit stressful. But yeah, what is it like job hunting? Well, it's fucking awful. And I think anyone in this space will tell you the same thing, because it absolutely is so hard and difficult, and the rejection just compiles after a while, and you do feel quite crap. You apply for so many jobs, you get ghosted, people don't get back to you. What I can't stand is dishonesty. I hate people who sugarcoat things to me. You know, if you're not hiring, you're not hiring. That's the end of the story. You don't need to soften it for me. Like, I think people are trying to be nice, but personally, I just prefer honesty. And in saying that, I've made some really beautiful connections through this process. So I met up with a creative director of a studio. That was really nice. We are now in touch, which is nice, and might get a coffee and do things like that again. So I made a really great connection there. I've also met people through different jobs. I've met a really great mentor through that, which is fantastic. I've also worked in restaurants and cafes and bars, and I have some really amazing people that I've met through that work as well, and who are also helping me. You know, hospitality is amazing for my client work now, like having those connections, and someone knows someone and someone knows someone else. So just networking, and that I've been doing a lot of that and a lot of networking in the last 2 years. The rejection has gotten to me some days. You know, some days I've gotten rejections and I've tried to not care about it, and actually it's made me really quite upset because I feel so lost, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing in my life? Like, why can't I just have a normal job and be like everyone else? This is the pivotal moment that has been the catalyst for everything that I'm talking about in this podcast, because I had this interview for a very dry, rigid corporate job. Basically, at the end of the interview, the guy was like to me, all right, so you're going to have to put a bit more of this on your resume and a bit more of this, and I think you'll need to adjust this and this. And he was just basically listing all these things that I needed to change about my resume. And that was the moment I don't know, it's just like everything clicked for me, that I'm like the visceral reaction I had to rejecting that, the thought of changing my resume again, even though I had already also been subconsciously doing this for many different jobs, was changing my resume. And I didn't even realize I was doing that. I was just doing what I thought I had to be doing because I was applying for jobs. I was like, oh, when you apply for jobs, you've got to make a cover letter, you've got to do a resume, you got to do that thing, right? Makes sense, like 100%. And if that's what and if there is a job you really want, of course they are the things that you need to do. But I realized I was doing that for jobs that even I don't even know why I was doing that. And then for the last 6 months, I've just been on Easy Apply on LinkedIn, which, side note, if you are looking for a job, that's a fantastic way to just get your foot in the door. Just have your resume on there, and it's so good to just easy apply. 3 clicks and you've done like 10 job applications. It's amazing. So highly recommend that if you are job hunting. And I've gotten like most of my interviews through Easy Applies. Literally haven't even written cover letters or anything like that. So yeah, I think that was the turning point for me, because I realized I'd been subconsciously doing this with other roles. Like, I'd just been trying to tweak it to suit the role. And you know how you take the strengths of the role, you take the responsibilities of the role and you start putting that in your strengths and like what you're doing on your resume and like your experience, and you obviously like mold it into something that suits that job. And I hadn't realized that I had been doing that for like the last 2 years. I think I honestly, like, it seems so obvious now, but not until this very dry, very boring role came up did I kind of have that click in my mind and that visceral reaction that I just don't want to do that. And I had a really, really really amazing, really wonderful conversation with my psychologist about this. Just reaffirmed for me that that's okay, that I don't want to work a corporate 9 to 5 job. That's just not the lifestyle that works for me. It's not something that I find fulfilling. It's not something that's sustainable for me. It doesn't satisfy me as the person that I am. And when I do say 9 to 5 or corporate, I am referring to just jobs in general that I guess don't suit who I am, and that I have to kind of be this professional person. And I've done that. I've worked 2 years in corporate. I feel like I've been in these jobs where I've had to have a professional mask on, and that feels so uncomfy for me. Like, now I think about that and it's like so draining to think about doing that again. In saying that, like, I'm still looking for jobs that are full time or 9 to 5. But the jobs I'm looking for now, I'm being much more intentional about what they actually are. Like, are they genuinely roles that I feel like just fit me? Like, it's not that I'm trying to mold myself into this specific box. I'm also, on the other hand of that, working at a bar. I'm also doing creative freelance work, working independently for myself and trying to get clients at the moment. I just, through this whole job hunting process, I feel like it's just worn me down and down and down. And I've just, had those terrible judgmental thoughts of like, why can't I just be like everyone else and my friends and just go for a job? When this corporate role came up, my thought was, why aren't you going for this? This is a great opportunity. The salary is amazing. You've got the skills. Like, what? You just need to adjust a couple of things on your resume. But it's because I genuinely just feel like it's just not for me. And this is actually the second time I've I didn't turn this job down because I didn't have the job yet. It was an interview. But this is like the second time I feel, or third time maybe, I've shot myself in the foot. And now I'm starting to realize, if I don't want these jobs and I'm shooting myself in the foot for this, then what the hell do I even want? What am I actually looking for here? And I don't know. That's where all this excitement has come from, because I feel like I'm finally feeling liberated about the lifestyle that I'm choosing. And this is a really hard pathway to choose. Choosing intentionally to not go down the road that society tells you to, which is getting a professional job, studying, doing whatever. Choosing to be a creative and make things, and it's so many risks. You risk so many things that people don't talk about. You risk so much vulnerability, like what I'm doing right now, putting myself out there, thoughts, ideas. It's art and it's an expression of something that is vulnerability. And that is really a huge risk every time that you do that. The other part for me is like the lack of routine and the lack of consistency. The whole reason I wanted a job that was 9 to 5 was genuinely for the routine and the structure and the consistency and the stable paycheck. The stable paycheck would be obviously transformative and amazing. But that's just not how my life works. This is not an easy path to choose. I think it's actually one of the hardest to build your own career, because there's so much judgment that comes with that, and over the past 2 years, I've noticed that in subtle notions in my life. Like, I've had conversations with friends where, it randomly comes up in dating conversations. Oh, like, who are you looking for? And who's got like a good job and like professional job or like professional career. And I think I've surrounded myself with a lot of people who have professional careers, or like, and when I say professional career, I mean like I guess like someone who is working 9 to 5 and that's what they do every day, and corporate almost. It kind of falls into that. I feel like that's considered very, very good right now in society, and especially by your parents, as well. Like, your parents, of course, want you to earn good money and good wage, but there's some days where, I've just been working casual jobs and my parents, like, I've been living at home, that's also like moving out later than most people is also like something that's different in society. I don't know. And the thing is, I don't even know why there's so much judgment, because everyone's doing this now. Everyone's showing up online, influencing and making their life their job without even labeling it. I listened to a podcast by Anna on Wild Geese, and she had a conversation about intimacy and performance. And she mentions in her podcast, she's talking about the difference between people performing. And she says that everyone is performing. If you're in a public space, you are performing, no matter what you're doing. Unless you are solely alone by yourself, you are not performing. And I really like the idea of that, because I feel like I really try and show up authentically online. But authentic is a really big buzzword going around in, online and everything. Like, everyone wants to be authentic, but I don't really think anyone can be fully authentic unless they're alone, is what I'm saying. And what's been liberating for me this week is that realizing I'm a creative and I can create my own life. And that is exactly what I'm doing. I feel like there's something so liberating about just understanding the different lives you have and ruling out the ones that are not for you. I think that if you're able to do that, that is one step in finding that liberating. Like if you can just say to myself, well, what is for me and what isn't for me? And the way to find that out is usually saying yes to a lot of opportunities and then seeing what doesn't stick. I think something else that really helps me is surrounding myself with people who support this lifestyle. I realize in the last 2 years, I've met a lot of people who have very, very, very random, rich, flexible lives. Pedro, my partner, is a great example of that. He is a coach. He plays football. He works as a baker, and he has a very different schedule to a lot of people as well. And I think that's funny that, that's a reflection of someone that I'm with. I think shows a lot about like how I am as well, because that's how our lifestyle works. Like we literally go play basketball in the middle of the day some days, or we have very spontaneous weeks. That is something I love about the people I've met. It's been so nice and refreshing to surround myself with people in that aspect as well, because I have many incredible friends who are also in that corporate 9 to 5 work, and they also understand me, which that's another part of just knowing who is and isn't your people right now. It's deeper than that, because I'm not saying we're separating people from corporate jobs and people who are creatives. Like it's deeper than that. It's like people who can understand who you are and that's what you need as a person. So, and yeah, I just read this really beautiful article on Substack the other day that I think just summarizes everything in this episode perfectly. There's so many wonderful quotes. I literally could quote the entire article of this, but it's called The Quiet Thrill of Not Being for Everyone by Bad Girl Media on Substack. An amazing article, so well written and so beautifully so insightful. She says, we learn early that fitting in is often just a long-term apology for who you are. Yet somewhere along the way, this becomes our default mode of being. I think my whole life I've learned how to fit in and how to fit into those boxes so well that I'm just doing the same thing. I'm being on my default mode. But now that I'm at this point where I can start noticing that, I'm like, this is just not, these spaces are too contained and too small for me. And I do really feel that I'm just expanding a lot at the moment is the best word. Expansion is the word. That's the feeling I have at the moment, which is exciting feeling to have, because I feel this real, like, almost effortlessness coming from me, because it feels like I'm really operating just like how I want, and everything feels easier. Like the decisions, who I am, like showing up online. Like, so I'll read a couple more quotes because I just love this article, as I said. So she says, you begin to understand that the fear of being misunderstood is the real prison, not the misunderstanding itself. But the fear is the cage you've been building around yourself, bar by bar, explanation by explanation. And she goes on to talk about how some people misunderstand you because they have to, and it protects their narrative about who they are, about how their world works. Your complexity threatens their simplicity, and you finally understand that it's not your problem. This is so insightful, and I absolutely love this, because I 100% feel that the reason that I feel judged sometimes for this kind of lifestyle, or like things that I'm saying or doing, is because they don't understand it. Because and for me to say, and who have judgment or inflict judgment on this kind of pathway, is because I'm threatening their simplicity of their life. I'm just going to read the last couple of bits of this article, because she says, the liberation comes when you realize that your interpretation of yourself is the only one that truly matters for your creative and psychological well-being. She also talks about how starting to be yourself and accepting that, this is how I am, this is what I want to do, is actually nervous system regulation. And I totally believe that as well. It's like almost just finding this belonging in yourself that, like I said, is so unconditional that nothing can shake it. You're grounding yourself in that all the time. That core of who you are, and understanding that. Once you can understand yourself so much, if you can hold on to that core and really like know it and find that self-belonging, you have so much power in that, because you then are able to, like, people can't shake that from you. That's within your control. And the last part of this article, which is the note that I will leave you on today. So at the end of this article, she says, when you stop translating yourself for the mass consumption, you discover that the people who matter, the ones capable of real connection, were waiting for the untranslated version all along. They were hoping you'd stop performing and start existing, stop explaining and start being. The world doesn't need another perfectly palatable person. It needs you in all your specific, untranslatable complexity. The quiet thrill of not being for everyone is really the profound relief of finally being for yourself. And I just love that so much. I think that's where I'm going to leave it today because I have to go and cook dinner now, which is crazy. It's 9:20, but yes, because I am with a South American guy, we eat dinner at like 10 o'clock. But honestly, I love it. I always ate dinner late in my household as well, so it works for me. But yeah, that's everything I've got time for, and that's all I want to say on this topic for now. I definitely want to dive more into this, but I just feel like lately I've just been riding this high because I am feeling this expansion of accepting I get exactly what it says. I don't need to be a perfectly palatable person. I can be myself. I don't have to translate my complexity to anyone, and I am here to present that in all its glory through the everyday project, through my creative work, and also, so I mainly wanted to create this episode to just remind people who are going through a similar thing. If you are a creative on this path, it's hard. There's judgment, there's fear, there's shame, there's doubt. There's many days where my anxiety can be overwhelming for me and like I'm questioning everything I'm doing, and I do want to jump into a 9 to 5 just for that stability and that, safety, because it feels a lot of the time like, nervous system dysregulation doing this lifestyle sometimes. And I think that the way I'm starting to find that regulation and excitement about this life and this liberation for what I'm choosing is by working on knowing myself. I think knowing myself is the way that I'm finding changing everything for me in my life, and bringing me a lot more liberation with that. So anyways, mostly I just feel a lot of proudness as always, because as I always say, I do think it's difficult to do this path, and I think it takes courage and insight and patience and also support. I couldn't do this without the people in my life that are supportive of me and who understand me very well, which is a lot of my amazing friends and a lot of people that I know that support me. And I just think that, it wouldn't be possible without those little people in my corner. So really appreciate you if you're here and you've listened all the way through this episode. I really hope there was something there. And hopefully if you're a creative, I just want to remind you lastly that don't stop creating. The world needs you. They need to see who you are and what you're doing. And we don't need more copies of people. We don't need more people doing the same things. We need people doing different things. And so if you're one of those people, I need you to keep doing that, please. And thank you. And keep discovering yourself. I think there's so much power in that. I'm just excited for what the future holds. And as I said in my mantra, let's see what happens. Really appreciate you being here. If you have someone else who's been trying to fit into a box lately or feeling a bit different or like they don't really know what they're doing, I just want you to send this their way. And if you enjoyed the show, please help me out and leave a rating or review on Spotify or Apple for me. I've also got a Substack, I'm on YouTube, and it's all Everyday Project. So you can find it all in the show notes. And just my name is Mel Bowmans. Thank you so much for joining the Everyday Project. You'll see me again soon. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.